Now up along the top of the screen, we've got a series of different buttons that are available there. The first one along the left-hand side is going to be for our lane management system, and that's the one that's going to keep us balanced in our lane as we go, gently nudging us back into our lane as necessary. We've also got our traction control system, so we can easily toggle our traction control on-off, four-way blinkers, our reverse sensors, so that beeping that we get as we go to back up, we can toggle that off as well if we want to. We also do have our park assist system, so the vehicle can help us out with parallel perpendicular parking and then a parallel park out as well. Let me go through the process and show you how that system works. So first thing we're going to do, right above the media screen, we've got this little P button. We're going to press that button and it can help us out with parallel parking, perpendicular parking, or a parallel park out. Very straightforward to use either system. By default, it's going to look to the right side. We can also press the left arrow, so we can use our turn stick to go to the left versus the right side. So it's going to depend on spaces that are available. So I'm going to go for the parallel park first, and we're just going to follow through. I love the graphics on here. It's like the old school, like the OG Jeep. Looks really nice. And all we're doing here, we're just following directions. Wonder if it's going to be able to find a spot here. No? Really? This car's not that big. It should be able to fit. Oh! Parking space found. Where are you going to try to park, fella? Alright, so what he wants us... Oh, I see what he's going to try to do. Alright, so parking spot. Technically, we'll use that loosely just because of the way that the road's set up here. So all we need to do, hands off the wheel. I'm going to shift into reverse. Now, one thing to note, we do have to work the gas and the brake ourselves, but the car is moving the steering wheel. So that is going to be the same way across the entire vehicle lineup. But I mean, at the same time, it still is nice to know that the car's got the capability to be able to do this. Oh yeah, here we go. That is exactly what it's doing. Okay, it's kind of like invented a spot. Like, not technically, but this is going to work all at the same time. Shifting to drive, and it's going to pull us forward a little bit. And it should, yeah, okay. I see what it did here. I see what you did. You cheeky little bugger. Complete. Okay, I see what it did. So it half invented a parking space. But in theory, if this was just like a regular street, it would work the exact same way. So it just doesn't know that a little bit further off to the side there is an entrance there. But I was just wanting to demo it, so it is nice to know that it at least works. Now then, using the parallel park out is equally as simple. So we're just going to go parallel park exit, and same idea. We can have it look to the left versus the right hand side. I want it to look to the left to get out this way. We just want to shift it down into reverse again. And same idea, we're controlling the gas and the brake as we go, but it's going to back us up a bit. And then from there, shift it into drive, and it should crank the steering wheel for us. Ah, there she goes. So it's cranked the steering wheel, and then is it going to pull us out too? Oh, yeah, it will. Yeah, it will. Oh, that is cool. That is really cool. Okay. So it actually pulls us out of the spot as well. Unlike some other park assist systems where it doesn't, it just cranks the wheel. So that, Jeep, amazing. We're going to keep on going though. And next up, we're going to go for a perpendicular park. So perpendicular park, and we're going to try to find a spot here in order to be able to perpendicular park. And same idea. This thing is looking off to the right-hand side. Obviously, no options for perpendicular parking here. Let's see if there's one up at the Jeep. Oh, it's going to find a bunch of spots here. It's going to yell at me to stop. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Okay, I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to stop. Yeah. It's like, please stop. I found a spot. I found a spot. That's one of the cool things. You can just keep on going, and then it's just going to keep on driving until we find another space. We should. Perfect. All right, so it's found another spot. Amazing. This is kind of where I want to be. So remove hands from the wheel. We're going to shift it into reverse. And same idea. We're hands off the wheel, and then we're backing up, but the car is going to crank us backwards. Oh, it's the sensing system letting us know. Perfect. And we're going to go into drive. It's cranking the wheel. We're moving that way. Back into reverse. And same idea, my hands are completely off the wheel right now, so it's taken over absolutely everything. So you can adjust the speed as you'd like to. You can go faster, you can go slower back into the spot, but this is a really smart system. This is great. Nicely done. Oh, I see what it's doing. I'm getting tight there, bud. I'm getting tight there, bud. Oh, shift into drive. That's why it wants me to drive this whole time. I'm like moving backwards. I'm like, we're getting close to the end there. Just make sure you're following the directions on the screen there. So move forward, stop. Well, oh, this is like perfect. This is like my OCD is like perfect, like balance. Like this is how we do. So move backwards. Should be 3, 2, 1, and we're getting twice. There we go. Completed. So that is pretty dang cool. I love how easy it is. So we can also, this is actually pretty cool too. Hold on. We're gonna go back. Let's go back out. I love how we've got like the old school classic Jeeps on the graphics here. That is such a cool look. But by default, it's gonna look on the right-hand side. We could also press the left turn stick in order to go left versus right-hand side. So we can have it search for one side versus the other. And that's for the parallel park, perpendicular park, as well as the parallel park out. So pretty straightforward there. And we just button press to get rid of that system. Thank you. Last one along the top is going to be for our passenger screen. So we can turn that passenger screen off to the side on there as well. All right, now this is the available home screen for the passenger side of the vehicle, which is amazing. Like we've got the flexibility to adjust the brightness there, but jumping home, we can adjust the entertainment from this screen as well on the passenger side, which is amazing. And that's cool because so obviously driver's side, we've got that main screen for the media screen. And then off to this side, we've got this passenger side screen instead. So we do have some flexibility there. We've got our Bluetooth, we've got AM, FM. We can also control a few other things there. So we can adjust what radio we're listening to on the inside of this screen. Button press along the very top right-hand side in order to lock that out. We can press this if we want to clear notifications. And we've got some different options for controls. So we could turn the screen off if we want to. Button press to turn it on. We can power the screen off. Same idea, we can turn it on, but once we hit that power off button, and then once we turn it off, we just go back to this main screen. And then if you're on any of the other ones, we just go back to vehicle, passenger screen on to turn that bad boy back on again. And we do have the flexibility of watching video on this thing as well. So we've got 2 individual things that we can listen to. So we've got both of our USB, which is amazing. So if you had USB hooked up to this thing with video on it, you'd be able to watch it directly through this little mini screen, which is neat. And same idea, if we had an HDMI cable hooked up as well, we'd have the flexibility of listening. So the HDMI cable, we're just gonna plug that into this little HDMI port right down there. So it is kind of nice that we've got that as an available option there. But I love this screen. Like it's so neat, so many options. You can control navigation. And that's one of the really cool things. Because let's say if you had a passenger who's supposed to be navigating, like, yeah, could you just get them to look at the screen? Absolutely. But they can also just look here. They can search this way as well if they want to go through different routes. So directly through this middle screen, we can navigate here, which is kind of neat. So we hit OK there, and we can easily adjust. Very similar to what we saw on the driver's side of things as well. So it is so neat that we've got that available there as an option. We've got our notifications again there. We go back into our controls. We can manage these things. So wireless headphones, we can mute out. Jumping back home, swipe across back again. We've got our connected devices, or we can view the vehicle camera apps that are available as well. So we button press, and then through this screen, we can see everything. So if you want to, you've got a passenger that's kind of navigating you through as you're going off-road, and you can have the passenger do things as well. So if you want them to check on the front or the rear of the camera or forward-facing camera, so many options. You want your passenger to clean that front camera, you've got that option. We've got our full 360 camera that the passenger can again control here. So really nice because we can kind of work in tandem together in order to figure out exactly what's going on all around us. So again, this is a really cool system, and I love that Jeep has brought it inside of this vehicle. So simple, but so useful all at the same time. Like media screen. We've got our cluster screen there. Everything's digital. I think it's absolutely amazing what Jeep has accomplished with this thing. Now this is the new uConnect 5 screen that's going to be available inside of the Grand Cherokee. We've got 2 different versions of the screen available. So it's either going to be an 8.4 inch or this one, which is a 10.1 inch instead. But even if you've got the 8.4, it's going to work roughly the exact same way. Obviously, we just have some more screen real estate here. But a few things to point out. We do have factory navigation inside of this thing, so you can see it built in. But one of the great things is that even though we've got factory navigation, we could still use Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Waze if we were connected through Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. But we'll get to that one when we get to our phone. But starting off, let's go through this main screen. Now, obviously, if you're on one of the other screens, all we have to do is press home to get back to this main screen. We've got our maps, so we can just do a press there if we want to get it into our full screen instead. Going back home, we can also search for an address right through this middle screen as well. So a few different options available. And let's move out and back to the home screen again from there. We've got currently what's going on with our audio as well. So we could just info to see what's going on there. We could also do a full screen, which would jump us into our media as well. Along the very top, you can see that I've got my ventilated seat on right now as well. So we could go heated, ventilated seats. That's going to show available on both the driver passenger side. Heated ventilated seats are going to be optional. So the ventilated specifically, just depending on the version of the vehicle that you're in. But so many different options, so many different options. We also do have our heated steering wheel. So we've got a button that we can press in order to turn the heated steering wheel on or off, which we can also accomplish through this middle screen, which I'll get to in a sec. Next little button over from there would be different profiles. So you can have different profiles set up for individual people. So if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle, you can have it set up to pretty much remember everything. But one of the cool things, what is linked to my profile? Everything. All of the things are linked to your profile, which is amazing. So anything you customize here, your presets, phones that are connected, etc., you can select whichever profile you'd like to, and you can edit and add as many, well, almost as many profiles as you'd like. But as you can see, we can edit the driver, you can edit your avatar, you can have your seat memory set up, and a number of other things. So really, really great that we've got the flexibility to create different options. We can also enter a valet mode, which is going to lock out the screen. So pretty much everything's going to be locked out, and we do need a PIN code in order to be able to lock and unlock that as necessary. We've got a little notification center along the very top. So if there are any updates that are available, things like that, it would let us know. We can see what temperature is currently going on outside. And then we've got this thing, so our nice little drop-down menu there. And then we've also got the current radio station that we're listening to, or whatever media technically that we're listening to. And then we've also got our little uConnect button right along the top there.
Cancel.
So what we could do is we could push this little button up on the screen if we wanted to. There's also a voice command prompt on the steering wheel we can press in order to launch into this instead. But we'll get to the voice command prompt in a sec, but there's so, well, as you saw there, like so many different, so many different options available. Like we've got our tuning, so we can change radio stations. We can also have it navigate. We can make phone calls, text. We can even, we can even change out the climate inside of this thing. I don't know if you saw that before my buttons pressed it. Yeah, so if we want to, we can also turn the AC on off. We can make it colder, warmer, whatever the case may be, which is amazing. But like I said, this is going to be the main screen we're going to be defaulted to. And as you can see there, we do have the option for dual zone climate control. So if we want a different driver passenger side, we've got the flexibility to easily adjust it there if we'd like to. Along the very bottom, so we've got a series of other options. So we've got all of our different pages now. So we've got our, we click on our My Pages there. We can now add a page in. So if we want to, we can add different layouts. So if we add a base layout there, we can now add individual widgets in. So let's say for our widgets, if we also want to have our suspension, this is useful if you're going to be going off-road. So we can set this up so we can have it do whatever we'd like to now. So if we see, we can scroll through all of our different screens. So if we wanted to have it set up for off-road, we could do that. We could add in an individual page as well if we want to. So let's say if we want another page added in, same idea, we're going to add in some different widgets now. We can change and add in a few other things. So it is nice that we've got so many different options that are available, and it is just kind of based off of the screens that we have based off of this. But I mean, if you want to have different screens set up, you've got the flexibility to easily adjust. So you see there, we've got our TomTom map, which is really nice. Now, from there, we've also got our media. Starting off, we've got our sources, so we can change between FM, AM, SiriusXM, Bluetooth. If we had a USB stick with MP3s, we could select one of those as an option. We could plug in an old school aux cable as well. We've got our Alexa, so many different options that are available. And one of the cool things, we can also hide or show all of the different media shortcuts as well. And like I said, just button press in order to be able to change out our different options there. But if we want to, we can also change between different presets this way if we want. So scanning that way, we can also type this way if we want to, so we can tune this way. We've also got a few other ways that we can tune if we want to. So a few different options, but one of the nice things, deep sound, incredible. Like, I love it. So this is the upgraded Macintosh audio, Macintosh? I keep on messing that one up, but it's the upgraded audio system that's going to be available inside of the Grand Cherokee. But great look overall. We've got our HD radio there. We can browse this way. So if you're new to an area and you're not sure which stations are available, we just go browse to see all of the stations that we could select between, or we could see our active presets there. So we can see we've got a mix of AM, FM, SiriusXM, things like that. If we wanted to save to if we wanted to save a preset, all we do is tune to whatever station we want to. Then all we do is just press and hold, and it saves it. It's really that simple. So we go back to browse, and as you can see there, it saved it in as a preset there. and it's equally as easy to delete. So if we want to delete the preset, we do that, or we just hold in order to be able to save. We go back to playing now, and as you can see, it's there. It's now saved that preset that was blank previously. We can kind of move in between screens by going left versus right, or we can press this way if we want to jump in between all of our different presets that way, or we can hit all presets to see everything else as well. And one of the cool things is that we can also increase the number of presets. So if you're an audiophile, oh, this is kind of neat, up to 36 individual presets. And they're a mix, as you can see, AM, FM, SiriusXM, etc. So tons of different options that are available there. And moving down, so one thing I want to point out under SiriusXM, if we do that, we have so many other options available. So we can see songs that are currently related to what we're listening to. So we've got Howard Stern, comedy, things like that. Off to the side, we've also got this in order to link up to our base settings for our SiriusXM profile. So we've got our artist radio, which we don't have anything created as of right now. You can also log in and set up. So you do have a few different options available, but you could transfer your active subscription very easily to this car if you wanted to. We can look at all of our favorites. If we had them set up, we could view our active listening history. We've also got our individual listener settings. So we can customize a listener. We can also have it block content. We can tune to start, or we can reset all of our audio history there for SiriusXM. And back from there, we can also search this way. So if we wanted to, we've got the flexibility. Oh, kind of neat. Search for artists. Oh, is that cool? No, it's not listening based off of, oh, that's cool. So it's going to be audio in order to be able to change stations that way. We could just press this if we wanted to tune this way instead. So there are a few different ways we can do it. And then we've also got our notification. Oh, can't set notifications, which makes sense. You know why? Perfect, because there we go. We weren't on a station. We were on just the main SiriusXM station. So if we hit this, we can have it save for either the artist or for the specific song. So when either of these things show up, we can have it notify us, letting us know that that's happened. So if you love a song, you can save it, and if it ever plays, it's going to pop up and let you know. So tons of different options available on the SiriusXM side of things. If we had a Bluetooth audio device connected, that would show up as an available option. Like I mentioned, USB stick with MP3s would also show up there. We've got our base browse settings now. So we've got a few different options available there. And we've got our audio settings. So if we want to, we can change out exactly what's going on with our balance and fade. If you're going to be the only one in the car, we're going to be there. Just go back to our middle there if you want more of a surround sound experience. Equalizer. Oh, this is good. So we've got our bass cranked up a little bit, treble down, mid-range at 0. It's typically going to give us amazing audio inside. Oh, I'm not tuned to anything. So we can actually tune a few different ways as well. Tune to 94.9. Perfect. So it's tuned to that station for us, as you can see there. And then just... So the increased bass just completely shakes the car, which is amazing. So I'd probably even do bass at 3, but that's going to be a pretty good audio setup there. Speed adjusted volume. So as we start to go faster, slower, whatever the case may be, it's automatically going to adjust the volume for us. Different options for surround sound. So if you want a more immersive experience, this is where we're going in order to make that happen. Down from here, we've also got our autoplay. So as we go to hook a device up, it's automatically going to play. It's automatically going to play, yes or no. Auto on radio is automatically going to recall whatever station when the vehicle is turned off. And then same idea, do we want to turn the radio off when the driver doors opened up? Volume adjustment for each individual part. So if we want to have our medium volume up a little bit higher, if we want to have our phone or audio for different things, phone calls, navigation volumes, we can tune each individual setting, which I think is amazing whenever cars have that option. But so many different options for our media, like I said, AM, FM, SiriusXM, etc., with a series of different audio settings there as well. Moving into our comfort from there. So we do at least have dual zone climate control with the option for tri-zone climate control instead. We can have this going to our windshield, face, or to our feet, any sort of combination, and we've got a nice look when we have that done, which I think looks really sharp. We could technically turn our heated and ventilated seats on from the inside here, and heated ventilated seats are going to be for the driver passenger side, potentially in that second row as well, just depending on the version of the vehicle you're in. But one of the amazing things is that we've also got the option for massage chair seats, which amazing in and of itself, so we can easily turn on for the driver and for the passenger side. And then a series of different options, like we've got a rock climb mode, we've got a few different options there, so really useful if you're going to be going on distance trips and you want a nice massage in your back as you go. But it's all throughout and it feels so nice all at the same time. But we can have it set up for one or the other. And then we can easily toggle this thing on or off as well. We've also got options for rear climate, so we can lock our rear climate if we want to, so people in the back row can't be fighting over what's going on in the climate control settings there. We can also have that set up to go into their face or their feet as well. We can lock the system off. We can turn the whole thing off if we want to, or we can sync it up to whatever the driver's setting is. So it's kind of neat because, like I said, we do have the option for quad zone climate control, so different for the driver passenger side for the first and for the second row, or we can just turn that whole system off. Next up, we've also got our navigation. So we do have factory navigation built into this, and as you can see, it does display things such as gas station prices. We've got a nice pinch to zoom in this thing, fairly responsive, which is great. We can also easily adjust the map there. We can recenter. We can change to our 3D mode and a few different modes as well, so we can kind of adjust there. If we don't want notifications coming up, we can turn them off completely if we want to. And then we've got a series of different settings, so we can search that way. Or, if you remember here, we can also search this way. So we press this, we can just start typing in an address if we want to, and it's going to be predictive. So we start typing, we give it a second. As you can see, series of options available. We can also search for point of interest icons. Once we find a spot, we're just going to press. We can press this little try button to save it as a favorite, use it as a starting point. So if we've got multiple places we're stopping, we can do that. We can see what's close by to the area that we're searching for as well. Or we just hit drive. So when we hit drive, there you go, it's going to give us that route. So we've got our main route there, we've got a secondary route, and we've got a third route in order to get to where we're going to go. Whichever route you want to take, all you have to do is just hit drive, and it's going to tell us exactly where we need to go in order to make it happen. How far are we away from hitting our distance there, so from getting to where we need to be? We hit options, we can add in a stop for parking, gas, food, we can search, we can see our full route overview if we want to.
You will arrive at your destination at 12:50 p.m.
Why, thank you. We can press back to go to that main view instead. We can find alternative routes. We've got our turn-by-turn directions. We can avoid certain things, avoid parts of the route. We can change the route type. So if we want to go to the fastest, shortest, and the most eco-friendly route, we've got a few different options there. We've also got our settings now for the navigation. We can show different options for settings. So we've got our traffic flow. If we want to see what's going on with traffic, our arrival time, what do we want showing in our sidebar, or do we want it showing? Yes, no. We've got our vehicle range. So we do have that as an option for how much gas is in the tank. We've got our point of interest icons on the map, on the route, and we can also show the fuel price based off of the grade of fuel, which is amazing. And moving back, we've got our map view as well. So if we want to show different things, auto map zoom means that as we get closer to our destination, it's going to zoom in or out as necessary. Then we can also change the map orientation, which we saw earlier. Moving out, we've also got our sounds on alert. So if we want things read out loud, yes, no, for arrival time, early instructions, things like that. And we can select each one of these as well, which is so neat. I love it. Cameras, few different options available there. Do we want those showing yes, no? Safety warnings, traffic ahead, alert types. Do we want, where did I go there? Navigation, alerts, button press, haha. So we've got different things for alerts as well. So do we want a visual, sound, and a verbal? Do we want just a visual, sound, or etc.? So tons of options available there. And back, we've got some other settings. So we've got our privacy and then our basic about settings there as well. And then moving back, we're back to our main map there. One of the cool things is that when we have the map set up, it will actually show up in our cluster screen, which is amazing. We can easily end the route, we can resume, or we can simply end if we want to. So pretty straightforward. And then we can search, and we've got the option of adding in a home or a work address if we want to. And one of the benefits there is if we hit the voice command prompt on the steering wheel, we could say something like navigate home or navigate to work, and it's going to automatically navigate to whatever we have set up there. We can see all of our previously saved destinations or our saved addresses. We can add in different ones. We go to recent, and we saw that one that we did recently look for as well. But we go back, and we're on that main screen. One of the cool things is that we do have the flexibility of searching based off of GPS coordinates. So if you don't know exactly where you're going with an address, but you know roughly where you're going, you can plug in the GPS coordinates if you want. As you can see there, series of options available. We've got some other options for keyboard languages. So if you wanted to change it out to English, French, or Spanish, we can easily do that. And there was one more thing. So we've got some different options for global. So we've got English versus our other global options. And we can change it out to our typical versus our QWERTY keyboard as well. But tons of different options for factory navigation, which, I mean, like I said, super responsive, works well. I absolutely love it. Next up, we've got the option of connecting phones. So as you can see there, as of right now, we don't have a phone connected, but it is very straightforward to do. So do we want to pair? Yes, and 2 seconds. As you can see there, we've also got our vehicle name, which we can change. I'll show you how to do that in a second. Make sure the pins match up. Do we want to allow contacts and favorites to sync up? I'm going to say no to this one for now. All right, and perfect. Do we want to connect Apple CarPlay? Yes. And then one thing it's also asking me, so it's saying uConnect uses an app that we do not have installed. So if we go App Store, watch what this thing does. So it's going to launch into the uConnect specific app, which we'll get to in a second, but do we want to use CarPlay now? So we've got that flexibility. So CarPlay inside of the uConnect 5 system is wireless. So wired, no more, which is amazing. So do we want to use it? Yes, no. So we're going to hit yes, and we're going to use CarPlay. Oh, interesting. So certain apps, so this app is not available in my region. I wonder if that would have been the Alexa app. So I know in Canada it doesn't work with Alexa, but here nor there. So regardless, we've got at least Apple Map, or we've at least got Apple CarPlay, I should say, that's fully set up. And as you can see, now we are fully connected. So we've got Apple Maps, we've got Google Maps, and we've got Waze. And we can use any of these map applications right through the middle screen there. We can search for addresses, we've got our favorites, we've got our voice command as well. And we can see a current speed, obviously, because this is the Waze app. And it's the same idea for Google Maps. It's the same idea for Apple Maps. Like, all of these map applications will work directly through this middle screen, but nice, easy, responsive. Actually, you know what? It's a little, oh, okay, there we go. Okay, it's just loading up. I was going to say it's a little laggy on Apple CarPlay, but it's working great as well. Perfect. 2D, 3D, etc. Button press there to get back to this main screen. So it's very simple to use, which is absolutely amazing. Now, a few things to point out. If we want to, we've got the flexibility to customize this, which I'll get to in a second. But we've got our podcast there. So if we want to, we can either easily browse, we can take a peek at our library, we can easily save, we can go back, we can go up and down between different options as well. We can see what we're currently listening to, or button press to get back to this screen. Same idea if we had any audiobooks inside of our phone that were loaded up, those would be available as an option. And then we kind of swipe across as necessary. This is typically going to be the main screen. So we've got our gas, parking, restaurants. We can see what we're currently listening to. We've got our calendar along the very bottom. And then we've also got our maps again. So all of these different options that are available that are going to be standard inside of this thing. And then one nice thing about the Apple CarPlay side of things is that we've got the flexibility to customize this thing. So on our phone, if we go into our settings, we go to our general settings, and then CarPlay, all we have to do is select our vehicle. We can turn it off, we can forget, or we can customize. And then when we customize, let's say if you're a bigger fan of listening to your podcasts and your audiobooks, we just do a drag and drop. If you're never going to listen, or you're never going to look at your calendar, you don't like to use Google Maps, you can easily adjust these things as necessary if you want to. And as you can see there, fully changed up the dynamic look of the screen. Anything that we delete will be on the very bottom under More Apps, or we can just do a reset in order to bring this whole thing back to the factory default instead. So as you can see there, it's reset everything back to that main look instead. So quite a few different options and a lot of flexibility here. Now, one of the cool things, we can press this if we want to launch the phone. We can jump into our device manager as well, so we can see the phone that's currently connected. As of right now, we're connected to CarPlay. We do have the flexibility of switching, so we can end our CarPlay session in order to hook back up to the phone again over Bluetooth. So 2 seconds there and it's reconnected there. Multiple active phones is an option. We can go to a do not disturb mode. We can add a device, or we can look at some other options. So if you've got multiple phones connected, we could easily select which one we want as the favorite. We can disable the phone. So that's kind of neat. So if you want to hook the phone up but not use the phone over Bluetooth, we can disable it. So we're only worrying about Bluetooth audio there instead. We can have it so that the phone's only charging and just will never connect if we're hooked up over USB. We can disconnect the device, or we can also delete it along the very bottom there. And then we can simply press the CarPlay button again if we want to launch back into CarPlay. We press that again, and it launches us right back in. So it's that simple, disconnecting, reconnecting from Apple CarPlay and an Apple device inside of this vehicle. Next up, adding in an Android device is the exact same process. So if you're not on this main screen, you're on one of the other screens. We have a few options. Because I'm currently connected to this other phone, if we want to, we can kind of launch back in there, go into our device manager, but we can also just disconnect from CarPlay if we want to. And then we jump into phone, currently no phone connected. So we go into our phone there, it launches us back to this display manager. And then all we have to do if we want to add in another phone, we just hit add device, search for devices there. And we're just waiting for uConnect to show up. Make sure it matches up. Do we want to contact? So a few things. Access contact messages, yes or no. To our contacts messages, I'm going to deny both of those for a second. Do we want to connect Android Auto? So one of the amazing things is that we can easily set it up now or later. If we hit not now, we're at least connected over Bluetooth, and as you can see, fully connected. So we've got my phone and my Bluetooth connected. We can disable one or the other if we want to, or we just button press in order to be able to connect to Android Auto now. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's connecting. 2 seconds. All right, so connected and welcome to Android Auto. We have to hit continue there. Perfect. And 3, 2, 1, we are fully connected. So we can search this way if we want to. We can press the map button along the very bottom to go to different settings. So we've got our guidance control, different things for route options. So if you want to avoid highways, toll roads, things like that, we've got the flexibility to do it. We can exit out there. We've also got, so as you can see there, fairly responsive. It's a little as you can see there, it's kind of like, it's lagging a tiny little bit. So I'm on Android Auto right now. And one thing to think about, so along the very bottom there, this specific phone also has Waze installed, but as you can see, it's not available as an option as of yet. So I'm like waiting for different apps to be compatible with Android Auto. Full Android Auto compatibility list, check down below, but there are quite a few apps that are available. If for whatever reason apps like specifically like Spotify or YouTube Music, if you want to listen to them on either the Apple or the Android side of things, you can't actually connect through Android Auto or Apple CarPlay to use them. You have to be connected over Bluetooth, but certain ones will work directly through this middle screen regardless. We can jump into our music there along the very bottom. We've got our music, our notification center, or our Google Assistant. And actually, that's something I forgot to mention on the Apple side of things. So on the Apple or Android side of things, if we press the voice command prompt on the steering wheel, we can also launch into our Google or our Sirius Assistant on top of that, which is amazing. We can press this. Oh, actually, sorry. That's our audio. That's our audio there. We can press that to jump back into our map, or we press this little button along the very bottom to jump back into our main Android Auto screen. So quite a few options available. I can see there we've got my maps, we've got weather. We can jump into my phone there as well if we want to. Button press to get back to this main screen. And it's like, as you saw there, like it's really straightforward to be able to use any of this stuff. But very similar to the Apple side of things, we've got some flexibility. So if we go into our phone, we search for Android Auto, we've got some options for settings now. So we can see our currently connected car, previously connected car. We can customize the launcher, so we can just do a button press. So we'll grab those buttons in order to slide them up and down. One thing to note, any changes we make here, it's not dynamic like the Apple side of things. So let's say if we move Google Maps to the top, it's not automatically going to launch it. We actually have to disconnect Android Auto on the phone and for the vehicle. We have to shut them down and relaunch them for any changes that we make here to come into effect on the customization side. But we still have the flexibility to customize if we want to. We've got our Google detection. So yeah, we can press that or the voice command prompt, or we can just say, okay, Google. And that's going to launch into our Google Assistant there instead. We've got a few different options available. We've got our weather, Google Assistant. We can disable wireless Android Auto as well if we wanted to. But quite a few different options available. Like I said, I just wish that it was a dynamic update like what we saw on the Apple side of things, but it's not available there. Now, if we press this button again, we can launch back into our phone instead if we want to. Button press there to go into our device manager. And as you can see, we've got both of the phones connected that I've connected to. So if we go into this main one, we can now make it a favorite if we want to, yes or no. We can enable the phone, enable Bluetooth audio, or we can delete the device. 3, 2, 1, and the device is disconnected, I should say. But it's that simple, setting up Android and iPhone devices inside of this vehicle. All right, from there, we've got different options for our vehicle settings. So series of options for off-road controls, things like that. Jumping in, let's go to our vehicle dynamics there. So we can see exactly what's going on with our steering angle. So we go left, right, whatever the case may be. We can also see if our transfer case or our rear axle are unlocked. So benefits there, if we're taking it off-road, we can have it so that the wheels are going to lock up and go a little bit higher individually as necessary. Accessory gauges, so we've got our coolant temperature, oil temps, pressure, and a number of other things. Pitch and roll, so we can see exactly what's going on with the vehicle. Really useful, again, if we're off-roading. And then currently right now we're in the auto mode, but as we change between different modes, so our snow mode, we go sport mode, things like that, it's going to dynamically update there. And we've got our current GPS coordinates, our altitude, and then if we're in 4 high, 4 low, etc. Different options for select. This is so cool. I love it. I love the look. But as we go to different modes, so this is auto mode, which means that the vehicle is going to determine what mode we're in. We've got our snow mode, we've got our sand mud mode, we've got a rock mode. And again, each mode is going to do something different. But honestly, I love the performance in the sport mode, so that's where I would personally stay most of the time. We've got our suspension there as well. So we can see what mode we're currently in there for our air height. So you can see as of right now, it's trying to lower us down. So it'll take a few seconds for that to happen. We can also see exactly what's going on with each axle there, power-wise, and we can see kind of which wheel is going and active as we go. We've also got our different cameras there. So we've got our rear-facing versus front-facing camera. One of the cool things about the front-facing, we've also got the flexibility to have a washer going too, which is amazing. And then from the back side of things, you can see there, we've got our back view. We've also got the option of zooming in. So if you're hooking up a trailer, we can press zoom in there in order to see exactly what's going on down below as we're back a vehicle up in order to hook ourselves up to a trailer. Back into our camera there. And I believe, yeah, that's it for this main part. Jumping into, I think that there were some other things there. Let's go back into our, there we go, vehicle there. And our controls. So controls, we've got a series of other options. Auto dimming rear view mirror, yes, no. We can toggle our passenger screen on or off from the inside there. We can turn the whole thing on, off, etc. We can also deny screen permissions. So if we don't want the passenger being able to do things, we can do that. We've got our full 360 camera there, so you can see our full 360 view with our backup view, a backup across, a front 180 degree, a front partial view, or our our backup camera there. So a few different ways that we can get to the backup camera. Obviously, if we were in reverse, we would have that there as an option as well. We've also got a forward-facing camera. Again, so a few different ways we can get into that camera, and then button press to get into our rear. And settings. So many options. Do we want English, Spanish, French, and Italian as our available languages there? We've got a few different options for our display. So if we want to manually adjust the brightness there, or just let the vehicle determine the brightness. We've also got a few different options. So auto mode essentially means that the vehicle is going to switch us between a daytime or a nighttime mode, as you can see there, just depending on how bright it is outside. I love me the look of that dark mode, so I would probably lock it out there permanently, or you can just have the vehicle determine that mode automatically. There is a touch screen beep. We can have that come on, yes or no. We've got different options for labels and things like that. Do we want our phone to pop up in our cluster screen in that middle screen there as well? Entertainment sources. We've got a few different things there as well for device manager, navigation, and then for individual profiles, which we saw when we looked at the profile, but you can have all of these different things in your main profile. So you select your language, you can select your display mode and things like that, specifically for your profile. So again, you're the one driving the vehicle, you select your profile, it's going to remember all of these individual settings for you. Safety and driver assistance settings is a beast by itself. So we've got our active braking. Collision warning means that if we're potentially going to get into a forward collision, it's going to let us know with actively braking. It's only going to warn us or nothing will happen. And then the sensitivity to that happening. Pedestrian braking. So let's say if a pedestrian jumps in front of you, it can actively brake while warning us as well. Our active drive assist, we can get a little vibration. So if we start to veer over into a lane without signaling, steering wheel is going to vibrate, letting us know. Lane management system, a few different things that we've got for there as well. So lane management, do we want that steering assist, which will nudge us back into our lane? Strength of that vibration, so a low, medium, or a high vibration there. And then the assist strength. So as it's bouncing us back into our lane, do we want it to be a low, medium, or a high strength there as well? We've got our emergency vehicle detection, traffic alerts, park sensing volume. So do we want a low, medium, or a high volume? Our distance warnings, our driver alert. If one of the benefits of the driver alert is that if we're starting to veer over too many times without signaling, it's going to tell us we should probably take a break. We've got our blind spot monitor as well, and that's going to let us know if anybody's under the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. With our steering, do we want it to be a normal, sport, or comfort steering? And that's essentially going to be how many times we have to rotate the wheel in order for the tires to turn. Hill start assist, and then we've also got, where did we go there? Our tire fill assist. We've got our clock and date, so we can sync with GPS. We've got either the 12 or 24-hour mode. Because we're synced up automatically, we don't have to worry about setting dates and things like that. Or we can just manually set everything instead if we want to. Do we want to show date and time during the screen off? So when the screen is turned off, so if we push screen off, do we want this showing up? Yes or no? Because otherwise, we push that and it's just a naked screen instead. So you've got a few different options that are available. We've got our Bluetooth, device manager, which we saw earlier, a few other options, so our do not disturb, and enable 2 different phones, phone pop-up and cluster. And then a number of things. So we've got either a male or a female voice assistant. We can have it listen for different wake words. So rather than pressing the voice command prompt on the steering wheel, we can have it automatically listen in. And then we've also got our voice barge in, which means that if we press the voice command prompt or we say, hey, uConnect, what we've got is the flexibility of us being able to jump in before anything like that happens. And then the command list, that's the one that we just showed that popped up on the screen there when we push that button. So as you can see there, that's the command list. So if that shows up, yes or no. Navigation for tons of different options available here. Same thing, traffic flow, point of interest icons, map views. We've got a few different options there. We've seen the majority of these ones when we were in the navigation settings. Options for camera. So do we want our camera delay? Yes, no. Forward-facing camera guidelines as well. Mirrors and wipers. Do we want to tilt the side view mirrors when we're backing up? So one of the big benefits there is that if this is on, we go to reverse the vehicle, it's going to lower the side view mirrors down for us. Do we want to toggle our side view mirrors on for folding? Yes, no. We've also got our rain sensing wipers and then our headlights with our wipers as well. Our lights, we can customize the ambient light color if we want to, which is kind of neat. So if you have a preference, you like different colors for the front, for the back, etc., we can customize that. We can sync it up. So if you had different colors, we hit sync to bring it back for forwards and backwards there as well, which is kind of neat. Back again, we've got our headlight delay. So as we go to lock the vehicle, do we want the lamps to just automatically turn off, or do they stay on for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, or for 90 seconds? A few different options available there. And we've also got our illumination there on approach. So do we want our headlights turning on as we approach with our fob on us? Do we want our headlights with our wipers there? Greeting lights on the outside? Our auto dimming high beams. So if our high beams are on and the vehicle senses an oncoming vehicle, it's going to dim them and then bring them right back up for us. Cornering lights means that the lights will follow us as we go, which is kind of neat. Or as we turn, I should say. Do we want to flash our lights when we lock our? And then do we want to flash our lights when we lock a vehicle as well? Brakes, do we want to have it for the auto parking brake? So as we go to turn the vehicle off, it'll automatically apply the parking brake. So we can say yes or no. And then brake service. So as we get the brake service, it'll let us know. Doors unlocked. Do we want to have the vehicle automatically unlock the doors when we stop? Do we want to flash our lights when we lock the door? Do we want to sound the horn when we remote start or when we lock? When we press the first button press on the unlock, do we want all doors become unlocked or just the driver's door? Passive entry, we've got our power liftgate alert, which we can turn on or off, and same idea for our hands-free power. So that foot-activated liftgate, we could actually toggle that thing off if we really wanted to. Seats and comfort. What will happen with the easy exit seats is when we go to turn the vehicle off, it's going to lower the seat and back it up so we can get out of the vehicle a bit easier. One thing to note, if your seats aren't power, that option just won't be there. And then our comfort, when we go to remote start, what happens there as well? And when we turn the vehicle off, so our key off, easy exit seats, do we want that on or off? It's kind of neat that we've got it in so many different spots. Our headlight delay, our auto entry suspension, so we can automatically have the vehicle raise up or lower as necessary. Our radio delay, when we turn the vehicle off, do we want the radio turning off with the door? And then our windows with our key fob. Moving into our suspension, same idea. So we saw, again, a few of these things with our different options there. Tire jack mode, auxiliary modes there as well. And we've got our accessibility. Software updates, always recommend connect over Wi-Fi at home, and then you can automatically have the vehicle download updates as necessary. We can see what current version we're on, and then we can reset everything back to our factory defaults there instead. So we can restart the radio, any of these things. So if anything's giving you problems, you could do a factory reset for pretty much everything here. But that's everything about the basic settings. Moving into our app screen next. So app screen, we can see either favorites, we've got our recent, categories, or all. So every available preset that's available inside the vehicle. And one of the cool things is that if there are certain ones, like you want a hot button press for your, let's say, forward camera, we can star that out and save it. If we want to have a hot button press to get into our speaker system there, we can do that. And then let's say we want our mirror dimmer there as well. So these things were all added to our favorites. So if we go to favorites, we added a few things in. So if we press any of these available devices, so let's say if we hit Macintosh there, we've got a button press to switch between different modes as well, which is kind of neat. Exit out of that. And then because we've got we're currently connected, but we don't have any songs playing. So if we increase our volume now, love it. Absolutely love the look of this. Love the features, the functionality. Jumping back, as you can see there, we can adjust all of our individual volume. Button press to get back to this one. Now we do have the flexibility of pushing this button as well in order to be able to get rid of any of the favorites that we've saved. We can easily do that, or we can just jump into any of these active pages as well. So the way that I want you to think of the app screen, it's pretty much all of the available options kind of laid out there. So we can save them for our favorites, for recents, for categories, as I mentioned, to kind of navigate through each individual one if you want to. Now I know there was a lot of information there, but that's everything you need to know about the media screen and the 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee.